to our level design workshop. My name is Kendall, this is Joseph. First off, I want to kind of start off with establishing our credibility. How many of you guys know what Far Cry is? Okay, everyone in this room here. They release map editors with a lot of their main games. So as of recent, they've been running these contests called map jams, where you have a set amount of time, about a month, to create a map themed off of kind of whatever they choose. So the second map jam was actually the Freedom Map Jam, and Joe actually won Best Graphic for that. So congratulations to him. And following that, for the third map jam, I actually won Best Graphic for the holiday themed map. So but yeah, so we will actually be using Far Cry 2, and it should be on everyone's computer. And Joe, you want to explain what we're actually doing?
Okay, so we'll be working in Far Cry 2, and we're going to be building an abandoned train station in the jungle. So we're going to have a lot of fun with that. Trust me, Far Cry 2 is a really easy editor to jump right into. Anyone can pick it up and learn it. So once you're in the editor, the first thing I would say, go into editor settings and set the engine quality to ultra high. And look, it looks so much better now, right? Okay. The other thing you can do is turn off fog, so you can actually see what you're building throughout the entire level. We're going to go ahead and select our texture. Since this is the savanna undergrass, I want to go ahead and change that to the jungle undergrass. If anyone gets behind, please let me know, and I'll bring you back up to speed.
Where'd you go to texture now?
Textures is right up here. So you can open up that and left click on Savanna Undergrass, click Assign, go to Jungle, and select Jungle Light Underbrush. And you'll notice it will immediately change everything. If you actually had audio on, I would actually change the audio to a more jungle themed. The other one, we're going to go ahead and select one more material because I'm picky. We're going to select the rocky riverbed. Now, what I like to do when I'm designing levels is I need to know where roughly I'm going to place everything. So since we're doing a railroad track and we're doing a train station, I want to plan out where that's going to go. So this way, when I start building the terrain and all that, we can see where should I mess with the terrain, where I shouldn't, and where should I try to keep the terrain relatively smooth in relation to where I want to build. So we're going to build it just right in the center of the map because, so as you can see, when you have the texture selected, make sure you left click on Rocky Riverbed. So this way, you have it selected. And if you hold shift and left click, you can increase the size of it dramatically. We're going to go ahead and just paint down. Just hold down left click and start painting right in the middle. And you can see that's where we're going to start actually building. So one of the things about level design is that we want to give the illusion that the map goes on forever, even though the player can't go there. So when we build the terrain, we're going to make it look like there's like a hill or a mountain in the way, but there's a clear cut where the tracks are coming from. So we're going to go ahead, shrink this down a little bit. It's a little picky. So we're going to have the railroad tracks come from here, right? And we're going to have them exit, say, going off into the sunset or the edge of the map, whatever you want to call it. Doesn't really matter. So now that we sort of have it planned out where I want the tracks to go and where the main station is going to go, we want to go ahead and start building the terrain that we're going to have. So over to the top left, you'll see we have a terrain bump, which adds like a bit of a bump. We can raise and lower the terrain. We have the terrain flatten. This tool will, again, just flatten out terrain. Pretty simple. Smooth tool and the ramp tool, which are all really useful tools. But for the sake of simplicity, let's go ahead and grab the bump tool, scale it up pretty dramatically. I'm going to increase the hardness and the strength up a bit. Again, you can set this whatever till you want to. So you can see we are going to actually bump the terrain up, make it look like there's mountains or hills. So this way the player will think, oh, hey, there's more beyond that, even though they can't go there. So you'll be amazed like how many times you'll see games actually do this. They create the illusion that the terrain goes on, but it really doesn't. Again, we'll just keep going ahead and adding. And we'll smooth all this out later, so don't worry about it if it comes out a little rough. We'll smooth it all out. It's kind of fun, right? Isn't it, guys? This tool is so much fun. So Anyone behind? We're all good?
Yeah, we can just hang on for just a little bit.
Cool. All right, so the next thing we're gonna do is you notice the terrain looks really rough because of how the tool works, because the tool is only grabbing everything within its circle area. So we're gonna go ahead and smooth that out. So on the top of the toolbar, you'll see the terrain smooth tool up here. It says terrain smooth. It's F4 if you wanted to fast select it. And increase the hardness a little bit. Now you notice as I kind of roll around the terrain here, you'll see it really flattens out nicely. So we come in and zoom in and look at it. Oh, look, it's beautiful. Yay. But again, just do that for the rest of the terrain. Then you'll see we'll kind of smooth it all out, make it look like it's rolling hills or other stuff like that. Or if you're like me, you just have a giant mountain here. That's cool too. Do whatever you want. Again, just kind of giving you the basics here. When we want to place objects in Far Cry 2, you'll see there's to the right of the terrain painter, we have a objects. Select that. If you want to, you can go ahead and close context help, so this way you have more space to see what's going on over here. Now there is a train station under Colonial. You go to the Colonial folder. Give a minute, we'll load all these up. And you'll see there's actually a train station, quite literally. Just throw that down in there. Look, ooh, train station, right in dead smack center. To move it around, you have to go up here, with the object selected up here, you go up here, select it. The fast switch tools here are going to be, if that was object selected, they're going to be for, 2, 3. 2 is going to be the move tool, and 3 is going to be your rotate tool. Again, I don't know why it keeps the arrows. I don't like that. Far Cry 4 does not do that, so if you really want to get into level design, I really recommend Far Cry 4.
Where's the train station?
Train station, again, is going to be, if you're looking at objects, it's going to be under Colonial, and it's going to be towards the bottom. It literally say Colonial train station. And doesn't have to be exactly like mine. Doesn't have to.
Yeah, feel free to take your creative freedom.
Yeah.
Do whatever you want with it.
Level design is all about being creative and thinking outside the box with your assets. If you take level design 1 with Michael, you'll know potato heading is going to be your friend when you work in Far Cry 2. Cool. Is everyone good so far?
I believe so.
Awesome. So let's go ahead, because when I like to do level design, I like to focus on the big objects, and we start narrowing everything down as we move forward. So I think the big thing we need to do is get rid of most of this terrain we're not using here. So like you see all this, like these rocks we're not using, obviously. Let's go ahead and clean that up. So we'll go back to the textures, select jungle light grass, and again, we'll just clean all this up. If you want to make it go faster, just turn the strength all the way up, and that'll make it go super fast. Now with the railroad tracks, I want to purposely keep it rocky on the bottom. Looks like we actually built them, and they actually have like some sort of established infrastructure, I guess, if you want to call it that. And we'll just again follow along the railroad tracks pretty easily. Another little thing, you can take your cursor outside the map, so you can hit those little spots. And we'll just do it all up here as well. Again, feel free to take your creative freedom. So if you want to use a different texture or whatever, feel free to. Is everyone good to move along? Everyone cool?
I think so.
Yep. Alrighty. So let's think about this for a minute. If we have an abandoned train station, do we think the tracks are still being used, or maybe the train track and the station aren't being used anymore? What do you guys think? Okay, they aren't being used. So, what would you think you would see at like an abandoned train station? Would you see maybe abandoned trains? Would you maybe just see stuff laying around everywhere? Yeah. So if you want to throw an abandoned train in, we can easily do that. Again, go into objects, trains and tracks. You'll see plenty of train cars to choose from. Go ahead. I'm going to throw a locomotive in because I feel like it. Again, you get in there, switch to 2, press 3. You can easily rotate this. You'll notice that these train cars, they don't snap to the tracks automatically, so do keep that in mind when you're playing around with them. Oh, that's up in the air. Should fix that. Again, if you do mess it up and you want to flatten it, you can just, when you're in the rotation mode, you can just reset tilts. I'll flatten it back out for you. Put this on the tracks. Oh, hello. If you mess up and you want to undo something, it's just Control Z. Pretty much like any Windows application these days.
We have a couple people that have a frozen computer.
So now we're looking at the train station primarily. You see we have stairs here. We have stairs on both sides as well. So even though it is abandoned, I feel like there should be like a pathway or somewhere where people were actually walking around. So like, you know, if you say go on a trail or like a mountain path that people walk on a lot and they don't actually put like rocks down, you'll notice that the plants are faded. It's mainly just like a rocky surface more or less. And that's what we're gonna go ahead and do so. And we can try out urban ground. So if I do recall, this one did look nice. Yeah, it can work. It is a little bright for my taste, but we can always edit how the sun is positioned later, and we can probably make that look nice. But see, essentially what we're doing is we're creating a, you know, people would walk along here. You know, maybe they were parking cars over here or something. So this basically looked like they would get out, get onto the train station, maybe buy a ticket or drinks or whatever. So again, we'll just do that to both sides quickly, throw down some urban ground. Again, we're not going to go crazy with the detail here. I'm just trying to give you guys a really fast overview of everything. Now, this building actually does have an interior. Ooh, look, it's fancy. Got one room. So when I think of something abandoned, I'm thinking like you just make maybe some paperwork thrown around. Maybe there's like a table sitting in disarray, or there's other objects that you have that are just, you know, sitting in here. So let's go ahead and open it up. If you go down to utilities, detail objects, you'll see we have like a lot of little things here. Well, maybe there's a lot of trash. Maybe people were throwing trash out here or something. You can go ahead and move the trash around, like they were throwing trash in the building. Or and something to keep in mind is you want to you have to really think about where you place everything as a level designer. So like every time I'm like placing something, I'm like, oh, okay, this looks like it could go into a corner or something. So we have like a small desk down here. And since it is abandoned, I would say we could probably off-center it a little bit. So it's like not perfect or the way it should have been. I did not mean to rotate it like that. Now I would say we could put a computer on here, but let's say someone came along and looted the building. So this way that computer is no longer here anymore. Maybe there's like a chair here. Let's see. I think this chair. Yeah, nice and dirty chair. It's beautiful. Maybe we'll say it was like knocked over at some point. And as you can tell, sometimes the pivot points can be a little weird. But again, it's all in just figuring out what objects go best where.
A lot of things we try to focus on as level designers is how fun is this going to be? How balanced is it going to be? Does this level have a story to tell? There's a lot of different elements we have to consider when we're designing any kind of level, be it 2D, 3D, a racetrack, or a multiplayer map. I mean, there's so many different aspects to it that, you know, that people don't really necessarily notice. But, you know, everyone knows those multiplayer games or those racetracks that are good and bad. You know, good maps are balanced, fun, have a good story to tell.
For right now, we're just doing a beauty pass. We're just trying to make a level look beautiful. Tells us very small story. So that's what we're focusing on for right now. Now, one thing I do notice is that there's no way to get to this train station other than to take the train itself. So let's add a road in. Now again, at the top, you'll see this little icon that looks like a road with a single yellow line going down. Again, much like the textures, you just click on one of the empty ones. Sign, we'll go to jungle, and we'll select jungle road. And we can just paint away. So you'll see you click on the paintbrush, and you just paint away. Again, it will automatically try to optimize these points as you go along, so this way it stays nice and smooth. We're gonna mess with them in a little bit, but we're gonna make this road kind of go off into the sunset a little bit. So now there's a way to get into the train station. One thing I want to focus on is there is actually a crossing we can use here. So let's go ahead and try to straighten the road out. Now, you can easily add joints over here. Just like that, you can add more joints to the road so you can help kind of smooth out those corners. And again, you can also select on these and move them around a little bit. This way you kind of create a nice, smooth flowing road. Awesome. Another thing I want to do is increase the road width a little bit. So when you have the road selected on the right side, you'll see down here is a little way to widen the road. So you can make it really wide, you can make it kind of wide. I think this is a pretty good scale for the road right around here. Now for the crossing, because obviously you're not going to just drive your car right over that. No. But again, if we go back to objects, add an object, and we go back up to our trains and tracks, towards the bottom here, you'll see a track bridge that will actually fit right over the tracks. Oh, shocker. And we'll just rotate that to match the tracks as closely as we can get. Now again, something about trains, as you notice on the wheels, that the inside of the wheels are going to be a bit bigger because that helps them guide them along the tracks. So we want to make sure the wood maybe isn't perfectly touching the inside of the track, so keep that in mind.
So would you want to finish this out, or do you want to kind of just show what we did? A lot of people might be at like 6 to reset everything.
Yeah. So I think what we're going to do now, as Kendall pointed out to me, is that some of you guys had your computers crash and can't follow along anymore. I want to finish this out really fast, and we'll go from there. So something I want to do at the end of this road over here really quick. Actually, I want to smooth out this corner a little bit because that's bothering me. So at the end of this road, we're going to paint some more rocky riverbed texture. It looks like, cars were parking here. Some other stuff was going on maybe. So this way it looks like there's just like an actual end to this road that doesn't just kind of just randomly end in the middle of the grass, because that is kind of weird as a level designer. I mean, I wish we can blend this a little bit better, but this will work for now. So let's go ahead and add like 1 or 2 more detail objects, and then I'll show you a really cool tool, which is everyone's favorite tool in Far Cry. So let's add some just abandoned cars here. Again, I would add detail, like maybe there's like overgrowth happening at the station, but since I know a bunch of people are crashed already, we're going to go ahead and just try to finish this up. Now, if we go up to above trains and tracks, you'll see non-drivables and wrecks. You can easily add like, maybe a bus came along here and I was like, this bus's sole job was to bring people back and forth from this train station. So I have like abandoned buses. Let me push this off to the side. Again, you can even bury it in the ground a little bit, so it looks like it was getting stuck into the ground. But again, we're doing this really kind of wrap this up real quick here. But if you really want to go all out with the terrain, you can lower the terrain a little bit. It makes it look like it was kind of getting eroded around it. And like, the weight of the bus was actually pushing that terrain down, the dirt and rocks and whatnot. So again, that's just if you really wanted to go all out with this. Maybe we can even have like, burnt out truck here sitting out here. Awesome. All right, I'm going to show you everyone's favorite tool in Far Cry 2. Now, just one thing with this tool you want to keep in mind when you're actually using it is, yes, it's great, and it can help fill in a lot of those empty areas you have, but when you start getting into like something like here, you want to have a lot of detail, you want to make sure you actually go in and hand place those trees and whatnot. Get like really like just down, like is there plants growing on the side of the building, that kind of stuff. So it's really useful just for covering up those larger scary areas that, you know, it's not too important how it is. But again, this is like everyone's pretty much favorite tool because you could just easily build a giant environment in just seconds. Now, as we get closer to the trains, tracks, and stations, just real quick, you can easily add another mask place editor. You can do jungle light. Make it look like they actually cut down the forest to build this a little bit. Oop, that's way too close. And it's just something to keep in mind. And it's still going to place some of the tall trees, so you're going to have to do some experimenting with it. Now, another thing with Far Cry, you're going to notice that whatever color the terrain is that's the color your grass is going to come out to. So if you don't like it, you can hit Control and take your cursor, and you can just delete that grass really fast. And yes, Far Cry 4 will have this tool. You'll notice one thing as Kendall was talking when I get rid of this. So say I start mass placing stuff, notice how it won't actually cover the road. It actually keeps the road empty for you. Just a nice little thing to know. So this way you can actually just go right over the road. And if you actually go over the road and, for example, we move the road, it will automatically, if we drew there, it would automatically put that there as well. So handy little tips. Again, if we move the road covering the dense jungle we built, it will cover that up as well. So cool. How was that, everyone? All right.
That is it for our level design workshop. So thank you guys for coming around. Thank you guys for sticking around. It's been fun. Yeah. Do you have anything to say, Joe?
No. Thank you for coming.
Yeah. You guys are free to go or hang around. It's up to you.